Another adorable little girl here. So, this photo is very cute. Her expression is adorable. I'm going to try a little bit of a crop first. It's already tight, but where she's centered right in the middle, but it doesn't feel like a centered photo to me, so I just want to play around with that and see how that works. Now, if I'm cropping, what I usually do is just choose front image, and so that makes the dimensions the same as what the image already is, so you'll know that it's going to be the 4:6 format or whatever. So this one is sized that way. So I'm just going to make a little crop here and maybe move it over where I put her eyes in the top third. Okay. It's hard to see exactly. There's before and there's the crop. Either one of them would be just fine. I think I'm going to try with the crop though, just for composition purposes and for fun. So I think her skin has a little bit of modeling and color there that we probably don't want. And I hate on kids to make them too smooth or too plasticky. So we're just going to just do a light skin smoothing. And I think I'll use Florabella's Actions, but you could also use the Coffee Shop Powder Room like we talked about before. So I'll use the Natural Skin Smoother. This will take a minute to run. I'm going to do that first, and then we'll worry about these little tiny blemishes throughout here too, after we see what the skin smoothing does. She has such pretty eyes and just so bright and sparkly, so this is going to be a fun photo to play with for sure. With cropping, it's really easy to try different crops and to move it around, and just sometimes you could crop it horizontal if it's vertical or vice versa. Just play around with it a little bit. I don't crop my photos often because I try to take it how I want to in the first place so that the final photo is as big as possible. But there are arguments for shooting a little bit bigger and cropping down. Like if you want different sizes of photos in the end, 8x10s or 4x6s or 16x20s, if you're sizing different sizes, sometimes if you don't have any play in the crop, then it's hard to size to different things. So there are arguments for also leaving yourself room for different crops later. So either way, you're fine. I crop if I just don't quite love the composition of the photo. Okay, so we've got our skin smoother. We need a white brush. We're selected here with our brush, and I'm just going to run right over her cheeks here. Make sure I get everything with this brush. Okay, so here's the before and after, and it just smooths her cheeks, and I made sure that I didn't hit her eyes or her nose or her mouth, just the things that you want crisp. I didn't hit those things. So I'm pulling back the opacity just a little bit. Check off on your before and after. Good, and then I'm going to run the spot wrinkle eraser. You could also use the spot tool here, spot healing tool, or the clone stamp to work on little blemishes. Or you can just take an hour and let it an action run. I'm not quite sure why we're going so slow today. Like I said before, I'm just doing these exactly how I do them, so I'm sorry you have to sit and wait for a minute, but that will help you know how long some of these actions take to run, and you know it's just normal. So I'm going to go over some of these spots here. And I'm trying to be a little careful. I'm not sure some of them if they're freckles or blemishes. So if they look like they might be a freckle, I'm just leaving those. I'm going to get these under her eyes a little bit and smooth this part just a bit. Okay, and here's before and after. It's slight, but it just took off some of these little blemishes. Okay, now I want to run the quick eye sparkle. I don't like to do a whole bunch to the eyes, but just a little bit sometimes just gives them that extra little sparkle and boost. Sometimes if you do too much, then they just look fake, but this one has an all-over brightening. I'm just going to run that over the whole eye area. There's before and after. I'm going to pull the opacity back a bit. Checking before and after often. Extra iris sparkle is just for this little part right here. This is the one you especially have to be careful with. As you can see, this right here, it looks a little bit fake and not quite how you want it to look. So I'm going to pull the opacity of that way back. So check it before and after. I still want it back just a little bit. Good. Now here's our before. Here's our after at this point. So we've just cleaned up her face a little bit. I'm going to flatten here. Now this picture, I want to add some warmth and a little bit of vintage to it. So I'm going to use the Cosmopolitan action. And I know what these actions look like after usually. Every once in a while I run one and think, whoa, that's not what I wanted. But the more you use your favorite actions, the more you just kind of know what your final product is going to be, and you'll just know which ones to try. As you can see, this one straight is a little bit too much. So I'm going to pull the opacity back. Lighten it a bit. Actually, I think I might just pull the vignetting off of that. So here's before the Cosmopolitan and after. Just gives it a little bit of softness there. And warmth. And this could be left right here. That would be fine. You could play with it a little bit more. Let's do a little bit of sharpening here. There's before and after. It might even be able to use another sharpening. I'm zooming in. Okay, so here's our before, and there's our final after. It's not very dramatic, but I like the softness with her face. So I'm just going to leave it right here, saving it as final. And when I save, I usually just leave the quality at the maximum amount for the large file, just so it's the best quality that it can be. And then I save. That's it.